How can I break the news to my husband about our son's girlfriend? I'm a mom to 3 boys. Each of my boys has done really well for themselves, and they all live independently. My first and third sons were super social and loved to party during their school years. My middle son focused on his grades and future from a young age. He moved out the youngest into his own home. My middle had a very bad ex-girlfriend. Basically, they dated since 17 and she cheated on him several times. My son never left because he loved her, but eventually he realized she was a bad woman and left her. Only took 8 years. My oldest got married at 29 and my youngest is engaged. They give my middle son a lot of crap because he is single, but I always say that his ex kind of messed up his sense of love and confidence. They don't understand what he went through. My husband agrees. 6 months ago, he started dating this new girl that we just met yesterday. I was happy to hear that he found someone. She is very educated and smart, according to him. They have similar personalities and interests. Considering my middle is kind of a nerd, that made me very happy to hear. Anyway, I wanted to meet her immediately. My son said that she is very shy and it would take her time. 6 months later, she told him that she is ready to meet us. So Friday afternoon, my husband decided to grill. Everyone comes over. Then my son and his new girlfriend show up. This beautiful girl walks in holding his hand and standing behind him. He was right. She is very shy. We all introduce ourselves and we will call her Sadie. Sadie was quiet but said hi to everyone. She honestly associated the most with our dog that night. My sons go out and help their dad cook. My daughter-in-law goes out with my grandbaby, and soon-to-be daughter-in-law and her are best friends, so they go out together. I ask if Sadie would like to help me finish the sides and chop some stuff. She says sure. I just ask how they met and typical conversations. Eventually, my middle son comes in and comes up behind her, pokes her booty. She gives him a really look and hits in the arm, and he grabs her and picks her up as they laugh. I say put her down. Don't be so rough on her. My son just says okay, puts her down and goes back out. I said sorry, 3 boys. Sometimes they are a little too rough, but he is harmless. She said, I know he is. I used to wrestle with my dad and brother growing up too. I said, your mom let her daughter wrestle her older brother and dad? She said, well, I used to be a boy, so I guess it was different, and giggled. I froze. Her face went snow white and immediate tears rolled down her face. She said, he didn't tell you? I went no. She said, I think I should leave. I am sorry. I grabbed her and said no, stay here. I said, does my son know? She said, yes, he knows. She then said, I always bring it up first date, so if there are issues, we don't waste each other's time. To be honest, I am very surprised, but my son has never been so happy, so I dropped it. I honestly just couldn't believe it. I mean, you would never know. She is gorgeous. She asked if I thought of her differently. I said that you make my son happy, and as long as you treat him right, I don't care. She just said thank you. I called my son today because his dad wants to get to know her more and wants to go to dinner with just them and us. He said sure. I brought up our conversation and he said he knows. He said that she is just really shy about it and doesn't talk about it at all. She just tries to run under the radar. He said that since you know, we need to tell dad, but they discussed me kind of pre-telling my husband before tomorrow evening. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the wall. My husband would be home in 2 hours and I had to figure out how to tell him about Sadie. I paced around the kitchen, wiping down counters that were already clean. The dishwasher hummed in the background as I tried different approaches in my head. I grabbed my car keys and headed to the grocery store. Sometimes driving helped me think. The afternoon sun hit down on the windshield as I pulled into the parking lot. I didn't really need anything, but I grabbed a cart anyway and started wandering the aisles. A woman with 3 kids rushed past me in the cereal aisle. The youngest one knocked a box off the shelf and she sighed, bending down to pick it up. I remembered those days, chasing after my boys in stores, trying to keep them from destroying everything. Now they were all grown up with lives of their own. I picked up ingredients for tomorrow's dinner without really thinking about it. Chicken, vegetables, the good olive oil my husband liked. My hands moved automatically while my mind churned. How would he react? He loved our middle son fiercely, always worried about him after what happened with his ex. The checkout line moved slowly. The teenager scanning groceries had bright blue hair and multiple piercings. Times had changed so much since my boys were young. I loaded my bags into the car and drove home, still no closer to knowing what to say. Back in my kitchen, I unpacked the groceries and started prepping vegetables for tomorrow. The knife moved steadily through carrots and celery. My husband texted that he was leaving work early. My stomach tightened. I heard his truck pull into the driveway 20 minutes later. The front door opened and closed. His footsteps came down the hallway. He walked into the kitchen and kissed my cheek, then grabbed a beer from the fridge. How was your day? He asked, settling into his usual chair at the kitchen table. I kept chopping vegetables. Good. Just getting ready for tomorrow's dinner. I'm looking forward to it. Finally get to know this Sadie better. He took a long sip of his beer. She seemed sweet yesterday, just quiet. My knife paused on the cutting board. I set it down and turned to face him. We need to talk about something before tomorrow. His eyebrows went up. Everything okay? Did something happen? I dried my hands on a dish towel and sat down across from him. Yesterday, when you guys were outside grilling, Sadie and I were talking in here. Yeah? She mentioned something about her past. I folded and refolded the dish towel. She didn't mean to tell me. It just slipped out. My husband leaned forward. What kind of thing? Is she in trouble? No, nothing like that. I took a breath. She's transgender. She used to be a boy. He blinked, set his beer down, picked it up again. What? She was born male. She's transgender. But he gestured vaguely. I mean, I never would have. I know. Me neither. He rubbed his face. Does our son know? Yes. She told him on their first date. She always does, she said. So people can decide early if it's an issue. My husband stood up and walked to the window. He stared out at the backyard for a long moment. I don't understand this stuff. I don't really either, I admitted. He turned back to me. But he's happy? Happier than I've seen him in years. And she treats him well? From what I can tell, yes. You saw them together yesterday. The way they look at each other. He sat back down heavily. This is a lot to process. I know. I've been thinking about it all day. What did you tell her when she told you? That as long as she makes our son happy and treats him right, I don't care about the rest. He nodded slowly. That's what matters, isn't it? it after what he went through with his ex. 8 years of being cheated on and lied to, I said. And here's someone who was completely honest from day one. We sat in silence for a few minutes. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a dog barked. I need to think about this, my husband finally said. The dinner is tomorrow. I know. He finished his beer. I'm not going to be rude to her or anything. I just need to wrap my head around it. I reached across the table and took his hand. Our son is happy. Really happy. That's what I keep coming back to. He squeezed my fingers. You're right. That's what matters. The next morning, I woke up early and couldn't get back to sleep. My husband was already gone. He liked to go to the gym on Sunday mornings. I made coffee and sat on the back porch, watching the sun come up. My phone buzzed. A text from my middle son. Mom, thank you for yesterday. Sadie was really worried, but you made her feel accepted. It means a lot. I typed back. She makes you happy. That's all that matters to me. Did you talk to Dad? Yes. Give him time. You know how he is with new things. I know. See you tonight. I spent the morning cleaning the house, even though it didn't need it. Dusted the family photos on the mantle. My boys at various ages, graduations, weddings. My middle son's high school graduation photo showed him in his cap and gown, looking serious and determined. He'd already been with his ex for a year by then. My husband came home from the gym and showered. He found me in the living room, fluffing pillows that didn't need fluffing. I've been thinking, he said. I stopped and looked at him. Remember when our oldest brought home his wife for the first time? I thought she was all wrong for him. Too loud, too different from us. I remember. And now she's the best daughter-in-law we could ask for. She's family. I nodded. I don't understand this transgender thing, he continued, but I don't need to understand everything. I just need to respect it. Relief washed over me. So tonight I'm going to get to know my son's girlfriend better. Period. I hugged him. After 35 years of marriage, he could still surprise me. The afternoon flew by. Before I knew it, I was setting the table for 4. The good china, cloth napkins. I wanted Sadie to feel special, welcomed. They arrived right on time. My son looked nervous, Sadie more so. She wore a simple blue dress and had her hair pulled back. She handed me a bottle of wine with shaking hands. You didn't need to bring anything, I said, taking it. My mother raised me to never show up empty-handed, she said quietly. My husband came out of the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. Welcome back, Sadie. Hope you're hungry. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. We sat down to eat. The conversation started stilted, awkward. My husband asked about her job. She worked in software development. They found common ground talking about technology. He'd been trying to digitize his business records, and she offered suggestions. As the evening went on, everyone relaxed. Sadie's shoulders dropped from around her ears. She laughed at my husband's terrible jokes. When my son reached for her hand across the table, she didn't pull away. After dinner, the men cleared the table. Sadie and I were alone in the dining room. Thank you, she said softly, for telling him, for accepting me. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. Not everyone reacts like you did. My own parents. She trailed off. They're lost, I said firmly, her eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back. My son appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Everything's fine, I said, just getting to know each other better. He smiled at both of us. The look on his face, pure happiness and relief, made my heart swell. Later, as they were leaving, my husband shook Sadie's hand. It was good to get to know you better. You'll have to come by more often. I'd like that, she said. We watched them drive away. My husband put his arm around me. She's good for him, he said. Yes, she is. Still a lot to get used to. We'll figure it out as we go. He kissed the top of my head. We always do. That night, lying in bed, I thought about my middle son, my quiet, determined boy who'd focused on his future while his brothers partied, who'd given 8 years to someone who didn't deserve him, who'd moved out youngest but seemed destined to be alone. Now he'd found someone who understood him, someone who'd faced her own struggles with identity and acceptance. Maybe that's why they fit together so well. They both knew what it was like to be different, to not quite fit the mold others expected. My phone lit up with a text, a photo from my son, him and Sadie at her apartment, her cat on his lap, both of them smiling at the camera. Thanks again for tonight. Love you both. I showed it to my husband. He smiled. They look happy. They do. I set my phone aside and turned off the light. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new things to navigate. But tonight, my son was happy. That was enough. The next few weeks passed in a blur of family dinners and casual visits. Sadie gradually became more comfortable around us, though she still stayed close to my middle son whenever they visited. My husband made genuine efforts to include her in conversations, asking about her work projects and listening intently when she explained coding concepts that went over both our heads. One Thursday evening, my phone rang while I was folding laundry. My oldest son's name flashed on the screen. Mom, we need to talk about something, he said without preamble. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? It's about Sadie. My wife and I were at the mall yesterday and we saw her. Okay? She was coming out of the men's bathroom. I sat down on the bed, abandoning the half-folded sheets. Maybe there was a line at the women's room. That's what we thought at first. But then we watched her go into Victoria's Secret, and when she came out 20 minutes later, she went into the men's room again. My mind raced. Did you talk to her? No, she didn't see us. Mom, what's going on? Is there something wrong with her? I gripped the phone tighter. Your brother's girlfriend is a wonderful person who makes him happy. That's all that matters. But Mom, no buts. Whatever you think you saw, keep it to yourself. Your brother doesn't need any more judgment from his siblings. He sighed heavily. Fine, but if something's weird about her, it's going to come out eventually. After we hung up, I stared at the pile of laundry. My oldest had always been protective of his brothers, but sometimes that protection came out as harsh judgment. I thought about calling my middle son to warn him, but decided against it. No need to create problems where none existed yet. The following Saturday, we hosted another family dinner. This time, my youngest son and his fiancée arrived early to help with preparations. They were in the kitchen when my middle son and Sadie walked in. Hey bro, my youngest called out. Sadie, looking good as always. She smiled shyly and murmured thanks. My middle son guided her to the living room where my husband was watching football. My youngest's fiancée, Catherine, pulled me aside. Is it just me, or is there something different about her. Different how? I asked, though my heart rate picked up. I don't know. She's gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but there's something. I can't put my finger on it. She's shy, I said firmly. That's all. Catherine shrugged, but I caught her studying Sadie throughout dinner. Every time Sadie spoke, Catherine's eyes narrowed slightly. When Sadie excused herself to use the bathroom, Catherine watched her walk down the hallway with an intensity that made me nervous. My oldest son and his wife arrived just as we were serving dessert. He gave Sadie a long look when introduced, and I saw him exchange glances with his wife. The atmosphere shifted, becoming charged with unspoken questions. So Sadie, my oldest son said, accepting a slice of pie, where did you grow up? About 2 hours north of here, she replied softly. What high school did you go to? She named a school I'd never heard of. My oldest pulled out his phone, typing quickly. Funny, I have a buddy who went there. Maybe you knew him? Benjamin Chen? Sadie shook her head. It was a big school. He was pretty popular. Star of the basketball team. My middle son's jaw tightened. Why the interrogation? Just making conversation, my oldest said innocently. Actually, let me text him. See if he remembers you. What year did you graduate? Sadie's hands trembled as she set down her fork. My middle son stood abruptly. We're leaving, he announced. Come on, don't be so sensitive, my youngest chimed in. We're just getting to know her. No, you're being jerks. My middle son helped Sadie to her feet. This is exactly why I didn't want to introduce her to you for 6 months. After they left, my oldest turned to me. Mom, something's not right about her. The only thing not right is how you treated her, I snapped. I'm trying to protect him, after what he went through with his ex. Sadie is nothing like his ex. She's honest and kind, and she loves your brother. How can you be so sure? Catherine interjected. You've known her for what, a few weeks? My husband, who had been silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke. Your mother's right. Sadie makes your brother happy. That should be enough for all of you. But I could see it wasn't enough. The seeds of suspicion had been planted. Over the next few days, I noticed my oldest son's car driving past our house more often than usual. Once, I saw him parked outside the coffee shop where my middle son and Sadie often went on Sunday mornings. When I confronted him about it, he denied following them, claiming he was just running errands. My middle son called me Wednesday night, his voice tight with anger. Mom, someone called Sadie's work asking questions about her. My heart sank. What kind of questions? Her boss said a man called claiming to be doing a background check for a loan application, asked about her employment history, her legal name, whether she'd had any issues with coworkers. Her boss thought it was suspicious and told her about it. I'm so sorry, honey. It was my brother, wasn't it? This is exactly the kind of thing he'd do. I couldn't deny it. It sounded exactly like something my oldest would do in the name of protection. Sadie's devastated, he continued. She thinks she's causing problems in our family. She even offered to stop coming to family dinners. Absolutely not. She's welcome here anytime. I don't know how much more of this she can take, Mom. She's already dealing with enough without my family making it worse. After we hung up, I immediately called my oldest son. He answered on the third ring. Did you call Sadie's workplace? I demanded. Silence. Then, I was just trying to make sure she's who she says she is. How dare you? Mom, you don't understand. There are red flags everywhere. The bathroom thing at the mall, the way she won't talk about her past, how she changed the subject when I asked about high school. Stop. My voice was ice. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. And you're going to destroy your relationship with your brother if you keep this up. I'm trying to protect him. No, you're trying to control him. There's a difference. I hung up before he could respond. The next family dinner was tense. My oldest son and his wife came, but they barely spoke to Sadie. My youngest son seemed torn between loyalty to his older brother and genuine affection for Sadie. Catherine kept shooting meaningful looks at everyone except Sadie, who sat quietly beside my middle son, her usual shyness amplified by the hostile atmosphere. Halfway through dinner, my grandbaby started crying. My daughter-in-law excused herself to feed him in the nursery. Catherine followed, claiming she wanted to help. My oldest son's wife joined them moments later. I had a sinking feeling they weren't just tending to the baby. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, Catherine emerged with a strange expression. She whispered something to my youngest son, whose eyes widened. He looked at Sadie, then quickly away. My middle son noticed. What? He demanded. Nothing, Catherine said too quickly. No, what did you just say? My youngest son shifted uncomfortably. She noticed something. Noticed what? Catherine lifted her chin defiantly. When Sadie helped with the baby last time, she mentioned never having younger siblings, but earlier she talked about wrestling with her brother. So which is it? The table went silent. Sadie's face drained of color. I meant my cousin, she said quietly. We were raised together. I call him my brother sometimes. Convenient, my oldest muttered. My middle son slammed his hand on the table, making everyone jump. Enough! We're just asking questions, my oldest said. If she has nothing to hide, she doesn't have to justify herself to you. My middle son stood, pulling Sadie up with him. You know what? We're done. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't come by my house. Until you can treat Sadie with basic respect, I don't want to see any of you. Son, wait, my husband said, but they were already heading for the door. Except you, Mom and Dad, my middle son added over his shoulder. You're still welcome in our lives. The door slammed behind them. My oldest son shrugged, unrepentant. He'll thank me when he finds out the truth, he said. What truth? I demanded. What exactly do you think you know? He exchanged looks with his wife. We hired a private investigator. The words hung in the air like a bomb. My husband's face went red. You did what? He roared. We pooled our money, my youngest admitted sheepishly. All of us. We just wanted to make sure she wasn't scamming him or hiding something dangerous. Get out, I said quietly. Mom, get outside, all of you, now. They filed out silently, even my grandbaby picking up on the tension and staying quiet in his mother's arms. When they were gone, my husband and I sat in the wreckage of what should have been a pleasant family dinner. Half-eaten plates of food congealed on the table. They hired a private investigator, he said, disbelief coloring his voice. We have to warn them, I said, reaching for my phone. My middle son answered on the first ring. Mom, I'm sorry for storming out. Your brothers hired a private investigator to to look into Sadie. Silence. Then, what? I explained what they'd told us. I could hear Sadie crying in the background. I can't believe them, he said, voice thick with emotion. Actually, no, I can believe it. This is exactly the kind of thing they do. I'm so sorry, honey. It's not your fault. Look, I need to go. Sadie's really upset. Tell her we love her, I said. Both of us. I will. Thanks, Mom. The next few days were a nightmare of family drama. My oldest son called repeatedly, trying to justify his actions. My youngest son texted apologies while still defending the investigation. Catherine sent a long email explaining how they were just looking out for family. I ignored them all. My husband and I drove to my middle son's house on Tuesday evening. Sadie answered the door, her eyes red-rimmed and puffy. Oh, sweetheart, I said, pulling her into a hug. She broke down sobbing. My husband awkwardly patted her shoulder while I guided her to the couch. I'm ruining everything, she cried. Your family was fine before I came along. No, my husband said firmly. My sons are ruining everything, not you. My middle son emerged from the kitchen with a tray of tea. He looked exhausted, stress etched into every line of his face. The investigator already contacted her old neighbors, he said bitterly, asking questions about her childhood, her family, her real identity. Sadie flinched at the words. I'm going to handle this, my husband announced. I'll talk to your brothers. Dad, they won't listen. They'll listen to me. But they didn't. My husband came home from meeting with our oldest son even angrier than when he'd left. He showed me the investigator's preliminary report, he told me. It's all public record stuff. Birth certificates, school enrollments, legal name changes. My stomach twisted. And now he knows everything. He says he's going to confront Sadie about lying to the family. I grabbed my phone to warn my middle son, but it was too late. My oldest had already sent a group text to the entire family, including extended relatives we barely spoke to. Family meeting tomorrow night. Important information about Sadie everyone needs to know. My phone immediately started buzzing with curious texts from cousins, aunts, and uncles. I turned it off, feeling sick. The next morning, my middle son called. His voice was eerily calm. We're leaving town for a while, he said. What? No, honey, don't let them drive you away. It's not just them. Someone posted about Sadie on social media. Her photo, her dead name, everything. She's getting horrible messages from strangers. Oh my God. I'm taking her somewhere safe while this blows over. We'll be back when people move on to their next target. Where will you go? I'd rather not say. I don't trust my brothers not to follow us. The family meeting that night was a disaster. My husband and I only attended to defend Sadie and our middle son. My oldest son stood at the front of my aunt's living room like a prosecutor, laying out his evidence to a room full of relatives who had no business knowing any of it. She lied to us, he concluded, pretended to be something she's not. She is exactly who she says she is, I said, standing up. A woman who loves my son and makes him happy. Mom, come on. He's dating a... Choose your next words very carefully, my husband warned, his voice dangerous. My oldest son faltered. I'm just saying, he deserves to know the truth. He does know, I said. He's known from the beginning, because unlike his ex-girlfriend who lied and cheated for 8 years, Sadie was honest from day one. But she didn't tell the rest of us. Because it's none of your business, I shouted. Her medical history, her past, her journey. None of that is your business. The room erupted in arguments. Some relatives sided with my oldest son. Others seemed uncomfortable with the whole situation. My aunt tried to play peacemaker but only made things worse. My husband and I left in disgust. Days passed with no word from my middle son. I texted him daily, just letting him know we loved them both. He finally responded after a week with a photo of him and Sadie on a beach somewhere, both wearing sunglasses and almost smiles. We're okay. Sadie's doing better. Thank you for standing up for us. Meanwhile, the family drama continued to escalate. My oldest son's wife posted a long Facebook rant about truth and deception that was clearly about Sadie, though she didn't use names. Catherine responded with her own post about protecting family from predators, which made my blood boil. I called my youngest son, hoping he might be the voice of reason. You need to stop this, I told him. Your brother is never going to forgive you if you keep going. Maybe that's for the best, he said. If he wants to choose her over his family, he's not choosing her over family. He's choosing her over bigotry. Mom, you can't honestly think this is normal. I hung up on him. 2 weeks into my middle son's absence, my husband's brother called. Apparently, the family drama had spread to his side of the family too. Is it true? He asked. About the girlfriend? Is what true? You know what I'm asking. I know you're asking about something that's none of your business, I said curtly. I'm just concerned. If she's really I hung up on him too. My husband found me crying in the kitchen that afternoon. I hate this, I sobbed. Our family is destroying itself over something that shouldn't matter. He held me while I cried, his own eyes suspiciously wet. Our son is happy, he murmured. That's what we need to focus on. He's happy and he's with someone who loves him. But at what cost? He can't even come home. He'll come home when he's ready. And when he does, we'll be here for him. Both of them. 3 weeks after they left, my middle son finally called with good news. We found an apartment in the city, he said. 2 hours away, but still close enough to visit. Sadie got a job offer there and I can work remotely. You're moving? My heart sank. We have to, Mom. At least for now. Sadie can't go anywhere in town without people staring or whispering. Someone keyed her car. Another person spit at her in the grocery store. I'm so sorry, baby. It's not your fault. You and Dad have been amazing. But my brothers, I don't know if I can forgive them for this. Give it time, I said, though I wasn't sure I could forgive them either. Sadie wants to talk to you, he said. Hold on. There was shuffling. Then Sadie's soft voice came through. Hi, Mom. The fact that she called me Mom made my eyes water. Hi, sweetheart. How are you holding up? Better. The beach helped. Your son took such good care of me. Good. That's how it should be. I wanted to thank you again for everything, for accepting me, for defending me, for treating me like family even when it cost you. You are family, I said firmly. No matter what anyone else says or does, you're family. She was crying now. My own parents never. They never accepted me. Threw me out when I was 18. I haven't spoken to them in 10 years. Their loss, I said, echoing what I'd told her weeks ago. Their complete loss. Can we still visit you, even though things are bad with the others? Of course. Our door is always open to you, both of you. The moving day came too quickly. My husband and I drove to my middle son's house to help pack and say goodbye. Seeing their life boxed up and ready to ship broke my heart all over again. This isn't forever, my son assured me, just until things calm down. But we all knew things might never fully calm down. The damage was done. The family was fractured, possibly beyond repair. As we loaded the last box into the moving truck, my oldest son's car pulled up. He got out slowly, hands in his pockets. I heard you were leaving, he said to his brother. Yeah, well, you made it impossible to stay. I was trying to protect you. No, you were trying to control me, and you hurt the person I love most in the world. They stared at each other across the driveway, brothers who had once been close, now strangers. I'm not apologizing for looking out for you, my oldest said stubbornly. Then we have nothing to talk about. My middle son turned to get in the truck. Wait, my oldest pulled out an envelope. This is the investigator's full report, everything he found. I thought you should have it. My middle son took the envelope and without looking at it tore it in half, then in half again. He let the pieces fall to the ground. I already know everything I need to know about Sadie, he said. She's kind, brilliant, funny, and she loves me. That's all that matters. He climbed into the truck where Sadie was waiting. She gave us a small wave as they drove away, taking a piece of my heart with them. My oldest son stood there, staring at the torn papers scattered on the driveway. I've lost him, haven't I? He said quietly. Yes, I said, not softening the blow. You have. I stood in the driveway watching the torn pieces of paper flutter in the breeze. My oldest son kicked at them half-heartedly before getting back in his car. He drove away without another word. My husband and I went back inside their empty house. The walls had pale rectangles where pictures once hung. In the kitchen, a forgotten coffee mug sat by the sink. I washed it and set it in the dish drainer, then locked up with the spare key they'd left us. The drive home felt longer than usual. My husband kept clearing his throat like he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. I stared out the window at the familiar streets, wondering when we'd see our middle son again. That evening, my youngest son showed up at our door. He shuffled his feet on the porch, hands jammed in his pockets. Can I come in? I stepped aside without speaking. He followed me to the kitchen where my husband was reading the newspaper. I messed up, my youngest said. My husband didn't look up from his paper. Yes, you did. Catherine and I have been fighting about it. She thinks we did the right thing, but he trailed off, running his hand through his hair. I keep thinking about how happy he looked with her before we ruined everything. Your brother was happier than I'd seen him in years, I said. And you couldn't stand that, could you? Couldn't stand that he found someone who loved him after what his ex put him through. That's not fair, Mom. We were worried about him getting hurt again. No, you were uncomfortable. There's a difference. He slumped in a chair. What do I do now? I don't know, my husband said, finally looking at him. You participated in destroying your brother's happiness and driving him out of town. I'm not sure that's something you can fix with an apology. My youngest left soon after, shoulders hunched against the evening chill. I watched him go from the window, remembering when all three boys would pile into the kitchen after school, arguing over snacks and homework. Those days felt like a lifetime ago. The house felt too quiet over the next weeks. I kept cooking too much food for dinner, forgetting we were down to just 2 place settings. My husband started working longer hours, claiming he had projects to finish. I knew he was avoiding the empty spaces our sons used to fill. My oldest son's wife called one afternoon while I was gardening. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. I wanted to apologize, she said without preamble. The Facebook post was out of line. I pulled off my gardening gloves, sitting on the porch steps. Yes, it was. I took it down, and I told my husband he needs to make this right. Some things can't be made right, I said. You can't unring a bell. She was quiet for a moment. I know, but we have to try. For the family. The family? I laughed bitterly. You helped destroy this family. You and Catherine and my sons with your suspicions and investigations and social media posts. Don't talk to me about family. I hung up before she could respond. 3 months after they moved, my middle son called with an invitation. They were hosting a housewarming party and wanted us to come. Just us, he emphasized, not his brothers. We drove to the city on a Saturday morning. Their new apartment building had a doorman and security cameras. My son met us in the lobby, looking healthier than he had in months. The stress lines around his eyes had faded. Their apartment was small but bright, with plants on every surface and artwork covering the walls. Sadie had decorated it beautifully. She hugged us both when we arrived, more confident than I'd ever seen her. Welcome to our home, she said, and I could hear the pride in her voice. They'd invited a few friends from their new jobs. Everyone was welcoming and warm. Nobody stared at Sadie or whispered behind their hands. She laughed freely, touched my son's arm without looking over her shoulder, existed without apology. As we were leaving, my son walked us to our car. She's like a different person here, I said. She can just be herself, he replied. No history, no judgment, just Sadie. I'm glad you're both happy. He hugged me tight. Thanks for coming, for everything. The drive home was quiet again, but it was a different kind of silence, a processing silence rather than an empty one. My oldest son was waiting on our porch when we got back. He stood when he saw us, straightening his shoulders like he was preparing for battle. How are they? He asked. Happy, my husband said curtly, unlocking the front door. Can we talk? I was tired from the drive and the emotional weight of the day, but I nodded, leading him to the living room. My husband disappeared into his office. I've been thinking, my oldest began. Have you? He flinched at my tone but continued. I was wrong. I see that now. I let my own discomfort and prejudice hurt my brother. I waited, acknowledging Acknowledging the problem was just the first step. I want to fix this, he said. Tell me how to fix this. You can't fix it, I said. You violated Sadie's privacy, hired an investigator, spread her personal information to the entire family, posted about it online. You drove them out of their home. How do you fix that? He hung his head. I don't know. Neither do I. He left without another word. I sat in the living room as darkness fell, not bothering to turn on the lights. Catherine showed up 2 weeks later with my youngest son. She was crying before I even opened the door fully. We're so sorry, she sobbed. We were horrible. We were cruel and judgmental, and we ruined everything. My youngest son stood behind her, looking miserable. Mom, please, tell us what to do. It's not up to me, I said. You hurt Sadie and your brother, not me, though you hurt your father and me too, watching you tear this family apart. Can you give us his new address? Catherine asked. We want to apologize in person. Absolutely not. Then his phone number? How are we supposed to apologize if we can't contact him? That's for you to figure out, I said. If he wanted to hear from you, he wouldn't have blocked your numbers. They left dejected. I felt no satisfaction in their misery, just a deep sadness for what our family had become. The holidays approached with a heaviness I'd never experienced before. Thanksgiving had always been my favorite. All my boys home and the house full of laughter. This year, I couldn't bring myself to plan anything. My middle son called the week before. We're having Thanksgiving with Sadie's chosen family here. A bunch of other people who don't have anywhere else to go. That sounds wonderful, I said, meaning it. I'm sorry we can't come home. Don't apologize. You're building a new life. I'm proud of you. Maybe Christmas? He suggested tentatively. We'll see, I said, knowing it was unlikely. My husband and I ended up at a restaurant for Thanksgiving, just the two of us. The turkey was dry and the stuffing bland. We tried to make conversation but kept circling back to our fractured family. I miss them, he said finally. Me too. All of them, even the ones who messed up. I reached across the table for his hand. I know. My oldest son called that night, hammered and maudlin. We're at my in-laws. Everyone keeps asking where my brother is. I don't know what to tell them. Tell them the truth, I said. Tell them you drove him away with your bigotry. Mom, please. It's Thanksgiving. Yes. And my middle son is spending it with strangers because his own family made him feel unsafe. Happy Thanksgiving. I hung up and turned off my phone. December brought a surprise. A package arrived with no return address. Inside was a photo album filled with pictures from my middle son and Sadie's new life. Their apartment, their friends, weekend trips they'd taken. In every photo, they looked radiantly happy. The last page had a handwritten note. Building our own family. Love you both. Your son and daughter. I cried over that album, touching each photo like I could reach through and hug them. My youngest son got married on a cold January day. The invitation had arrived 2 months earlier, addressed only to my husband and me. No plus ones, no mention of his brothers. The wedding was beautiful but felt incomplete. The groomsmen lineup had an obvious gap where his brothers should have been. During the reception, relatives kept asking about my other sons. I gave vague answers about work commitments and prior engagements. Catherine found me during the cocktail hour. Her wedding dress was stunning, but her eyes were red. I wanted all of them here, she said quietly. I grew up with sisters. I always wanted brothers, and I ruined it. I didn't offer comfort. She had made her choices. The photographer kept trying to arrange family photos. Each combination felt wrong. Parents with the groom, parents with the couple, extended family, but never complete, never whole. During the father-son dance, I watched my husband's face as he sat at our table. He was thinking about our other boys, I knew, about all the milestones we might miss. My phone buzzed with a text, a photo from my middle son, him and Sadie raising champagne glasses. Congratulations to the happy couple. Wish we could be there. I showed my husband. He smiled sadly and typed back, we love you both. February brought another surprise. My oldest son's wife was pregnant. He called to tell us, his voice careful and measured. Congratulations, I said, meaning it despite everything. Thanks, Mom. I want my child to know all their uncles. Then you have work to do. I've been trying. I wrote him a letter, sent it to his work. He sent it back unopened. What did you expect? I don't know. Forgiveness, eventually? Forgiveness isn't owed, I said. It's earned, and sometimes it never comes. He was quiet for a long moment. Do you forgive me? I thought about it. I'm working on it. Spring arrived slowly. My middle son called more frequently, sharing stories about their life in the city. Sadie had gotten a promotion. They'd adopted a cat. Small joys that they couldn't share in person. One call was different. His voice was tight with anger. Someone from home found Sadie's workplace. They've been leaving nasty messages on her company's social media. My blood ran cold. Who? I don't know, but it's someone who knows our history. They're using details from the private investigator's report. I'll handle it, I said. I drove to my oldest son's house that night. He answered the door in sweatpants, looking tired. Is it you? I demanded. Are you harassing Sadie online? His face went white. What? No. Mom, I swear I haven't. Then who? Who else has that information? He thought for a moment. The investigator's report. I showed it to a few people. My wife, her sister, maybe a couple of friends. You shared that private information with random people? I was upset. I wasn't thinking clearly. You're never thinking clearly when it comes to this, I shouted. Your prejudice keeps clouding your judgment and innocent people keep paying the price. His wife appeared in the doorway, hand on her pregnant belly. What's going on? I told her about the harassment. She had the decency to look ashamed. I'll find out who it is, my oldest said. I'll make them stop. You better, I said. Haven't you done enough damage? The harassment stopped within a week. My oldest never told me who was responsible or how he stopped it. I didn't ask. I was too tired of the drama, the pain, the endless ripple effects of that one family dinner gone wrong. Summer came with a heat wave. My middle son and Sadie visited for a weekend, their first trip home since moving. They stayed in a hotel downtown, not at our house. I understood why. We met for dinner at a restaurant. Sadie looked good, healthy, and confident. She held my son's hand openly, no longer glancing around for threats. How's work? My husband asked her. She lit up, talking about a project she was leading. My son watched her with such love it made made my chest tight. This was what his brothers had tried to destroy. This happiness, this peace, this perfectly ordinary love between two people. After dinner, we walked through the park. The evening was cooling off. Families spreading blankets for outdoor movie night. We're thinking about getting married, my son said suddenly. I stopped walking. Really? Sadie smiled shyly. Nothing big, just courthouse, maybe a small dinner after. We'd love to be there, my husband said quickly, if you'll have us. Of course, my son said. You're the only family we need there. The words stung even as they warmed me. The only family, because the rest had failed them so completely. They left the next morning. I watched their car disappear around the corner, wondering if it would be another 6 months before we saw them again. My oldest son's baby arrived in August, a healthy girl. He sent photos but didn't invite us to the hospital. The distance between us had grown into a chasm. When we finally met our granddaughter, she was 2 weeks old. My oldest son handed her to me carefully, watching my face. She's beautiful, I said. Thanks, Mom. I want her to grow up in a better family than what we've become. Then be better, I said simply. He took a shaky breath. I'm trying. I've been seeing a therapist, working on my prejudices and why I reacted so badly. That's good. I want to make amends, real amends, not just apologies. I looked down at the baby in my arms, so innocent, so unaware of the fractures in her family. It's not up to me to forgive you. You know who you need to make amends to. He won't talk to me. Then keep trying, or accept that some bridges can't be rebuilt. The baby fussed and I handed her back. Such a tiny thing to carry the weight of so much hope and regret. September brought the wedding invitation. Simple, elegant. My middle son and Sadie were getting married in October. Just immediate family, it said, which meant just us. I called him that night. We got the invitation. We'll be there. Good. Mom, I need to ask you something. What is it? Don't tell my brothers, please. I don't want them showing up, trying to make some grand gesture. This day is about Sadie and me, not family drama. I won't tell them, I promised. Thank you. I know it puts you in a difficult position. You're protecting your peace, I said. I understand. The wedding day was perfect. City Hall, just the 4 of us and 2 friends as witnesses. Sadie wore a simple white dress. My son couldn't stop smiling. When they kissed after the vows, I saw my husband wipe his eyes. The dinner after was at their favorite restaurant. Their friends joined us, the chosen family they'd built. Everyone was warm and welcoming. No judgment, no whispers, no investigating, just celebration. Thank you for coming, Sadie said, hugging me tight. It means everything to have you here. Nowhere else I'd rather be, I said. My son pulled me aside later. I know this has been hard on you and Dad, being caught in the middle. We're not in the middle, I corrected. We're on your side, always. He hugged me then, and I felt him shake a little, my strong, determined boy who'd weathered so much. We drove home late that night, full of good food and bittersweet joy. A wedding with 2/3 of our children missing, but the one who was there was happy, and that had to be enough. My phone rang the next morning. My oldest son. Was it yesterday? He asked without greeting. Was what yesterday? The wedding. I saw Dad wore his good suit to work on a Saturday. I was quiet for a moment. Yes. A long pause. Was it beautiful? Yes. Is she? Does she make him happy? Happier than I've ever seen him. I heard him breathing, processing. Good. That's good. Is it? I asked, because you tried very hard to destroy that happiness. I know, he said quietly. I live with that every day. November came again. This year, my middle son and Sadie invited us to their Thanksgiving. Their apartment was full of people, chose family and new friends. The turkey was perfect, the laughter genuine. I helped in the kitchen while my husband held court in the living room, telling embarrassing stories about our sons' childhoods. Sadie worked beside me, comfortable now in my presence. This is nice, I said. It is. Maybe next year. She trailed off. Maybe, I said, understanding. Maybe next year the wounds would heal enough. Maybe not. After dinner, my son found me on their small balcony. The city sparkled below us. I love you, Mom, he said simply. I love you too. I'm sorry about how everything turned out with the family. Don't apologize for protecting yourself and your wife, I said firmly. You did what you had to do. Still, I know you miss them. I miss what we used to be, I admitted, but I can't miss who they showed themselves to be. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Back home, my husband and I settled into our new normal. Quieter holidays, smaller gatherings. We saw my oldest and youngest sons separately, careful not to mention their brother. The family was split, perhaps permanently, but my middle son was happy. He and Sadie were building a good life, surrounded by people who loved them for exactly who they were. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Not a perfect ending, but a true one. I kept the photo album on the coffee table, adding new pictures as they sent them. Our family looked different now, smaller, but no less real. Love persists, even across distance, even through pain. That's what I held on to as the days passed. Love persists, and sometimes that's enough.